Good morning and welcome to the meeting. So this morning I wanted to share the drawing of Sammsy and the dragon. This is an important moment in Sammsy's life. Now Sammsy's here. Sammsy features throughout, and when we first meet him, he's kind of like a little rough and tumble young man who people describe as having stuff about him that he's full of stuff. Oh, he says, I'm all flummoxed. Unlike everyone else around him, he is rough around the edges, but he's an adventurer. I think my brothers say it was just you, Paul. You've done a version of you. I cannot say. So I wanted to describe this moment that I'm working on. Sammsy and little honorary Grace here, and Maisie, who are just a little bit there on the edge. They all they come over through a forest and they come to this ridge here out of the forest, and they suddenly see this enormous city that they had not expected to see, and they are utterly astonished. I can't think of a better way of putting it, really, but that they were not expecting it. They did not know it was coming. So when it does, and they come over the edge and they see this city, it literally takes their breath away. And I think in our lives, there are those moments when something happens that literally takes our breath away. I'm going to show you the first illustration that I did of this, which is where we see a better view of the city itself. The dragon suddenly wakes up and the eye is open. Obviously, it's been sitting there for eons, and pilgrims started coming to see the egg and the dragon. Dragon just slept and slept for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And pilgrims started to come to this part of my world elsewhere, the realms of elsewhere. And they built little huts here, and eventually they began to spread the city, and they built a tower for the dragons that they knew about. They began to recall stories of dragons and how they fought with the giants long ago, how they removed the giants from the world. They built a tower for the connection with the dragons and the light, most importantly, the light. They are good. They are not interested in gold or any hoarding. They are protectors of the light and the truth. So each of these towers and all the rooms in them are connected with different aspects of dragons. And at the bottom on this kind of a plateau here, it's like a concourse. There, going in that way, is the Museum of the Dragons, and there's a book that's open. It's a very, very powerful and book with that nobody knew existed, and it was found underneath where the city was being built. When they were doing the foundations, there was a book written by somebody called Alathine, great chronicler. He knew things about the future, and he knew that one day a dragon would come here, and he knew that there would be a city, and it would become the city of pilgrims, or sometimes called the city of the dragons. Anyway, this is the scene that they first see, and what I wanted to do was to create the next scene. So once Sammsy and Maisie and little honorary Grace reach the ridge, look down at the city, the dragon sees them. That's an important thing. So I'm just going to remove that. Dragon sees them. And the dragon comes over because it sees, although it sees all three of them, it sees Sammsy and something's happening. And it knows him. So it comes over, it moves over, up from the city and comes closer. By now, Maisie and Honorary Grace know that the dragon isn't looking at them. The dragon is actually looking only at Sammsy. And they, as it gets closer and closer, they start to move away. And the dragon just gets nearer and nearer until the eye is huge. And Sammsy can't even see the city, can't see the hills and the mountains beyond. All he can see is the face. And it's coming closer and closer to him. And he's standing there. And eventually the eye is enormous. And then as he looks, he sees that there's something moving in the eye. Of course, the eye, like yours and mine, is shiny, like liquid, like a sea. And not only the pupil, but there is a reflection. He can see himself initially, but then he sees something. He sees another world. Not in that eye is the city of dragons. Not in that eye are the mountains that he's standing on, the forest behind him. He can see a whole other sky. There's a sea, there are lakes, there are waterfalls, and there's a dragon. In the eye, flying towards him, it's like watching a massive screen, but it's the eye of the dragon. That all the while the dragon is getting closer, and dragon looking down at him, and Sammsy then suddenly says, "Oh my, what am I seeing? What am I seeing? What is it?" And he looks more like, "I can see a dragon." And the dragon's getting close. Why am I seeing this in the eye? And what's on the back of the, what's on the, oh my, isn't that me? What am I doing? Riding on the back of a dragon. And then the dragon starts to move away. Not too far. And looks at Sammsy. And Maisie and Grace come a little bit closer. "It's all right," says Maisie. "It's not going to harm you. I know it now. I can see." And the dragon turns its head, lowers its head, as if it's bowing almost to Sammsy. "You," it says, "I remember you. What I just showed you was your past, when you and I used to fly across the world. It was another life, but I don't remember it. You will not remember it, not until I take you to the far lands. We must go there to meet the golden thrush, the queen of the far lands. She wants you to meet Eldrin. Eldrin lives between life and death in the House of Mirrors. He has something for you, something very special that mustn't be seen by anyone else." "I see, but I see, but when?" "Soon," says the dragon. "Soon. My child will take you there." "Your child?" "You have seen the egg." "What, that thing over there?" "Yes, that is my child. Been in that egg for 1,000 years. And now that you are here in this life, my child will begin to wake up. The egg will begin to crack. And you, and the dragon came closer again, you must go and find my child. He will be there. And with that, the dragon began to move away and return to its place beyond the city, still with its tail wrapped around the towers and the houses and the streets of the city of dragons. And there to lay and protect and wait for Sammsy. And as for Maisie, she took hold of his hand. What do you think? What should I do? So I return you to the original illustration. This all happens in book 4. And the dragon has returned, but now the egg is starting to crack open. And also by now, the rest of the gang who had been asleep when Sammsy, Maisie and Grace went to have a look and see what was beyond the forest, they too had arrived, and they too were shocked to see, of course, what they saw. So that's where I'm at with book 4. And I've got a crowdfunding coming up with to work on the first trilogy, because 2 books are already published, and book 3 is waiting to be published. In fact, let me just show you here. Well, I've got this thought in my mind. This is book 2, and obviously it's illustrated, and so yeah, it's really interesting turning ideas into a full-blown series of books. And I've been working on it now for almost 50 years. I had to do various things because I'm dyslexic. I had to do a number of things to learn to overcome as best as I could dyslexia. And for me, that journey, fortunately, was to join the oral tradition of storytelling that is all over the world and has been for thousands and thousands of years, where people hold stories, if you like. They don't remember them so much as become them, which helped me. I mean, I've been a professional storyteller now for 32 years and told apparently over 50,000 stories. Not 50,000 different stories, but we call it the 10,000 hours. The apprenticeship requires you to become the stories. And certainly the way I tell stories, I kind of want to become the wind, the mountain, the passing water, the rivers, the sea, a bird flying in the air. And when you do that with an audience, whether it's live like this, whether it's in person in front of 50 people or 300, it becomes mighty powerful. So when I returned to thinking about writing my stories rather than just painting them or sculpting them even, because I sculpt in porcelain, it became really important for me to come into writing via the spoken story. Because by then, in writing, I found myself emotionally inside story. And then I get to why that dragon looking at me all smug? not smog. Because the dragon is not looking, well, maybe looking at you, but it's actually looking out at the audience. Whoever the audience might be, it's looking out. It knows things. You know, when you meet somebody and they smile at you in a certain way, it's not smug so much as I know. And depending on what they do with that, I know. Like, I know who you are. I see you. Something people say these days. I see you. So it's that kind of look, I guess you could say. So yeah. So the dragon, I've always been obsessed by detail. I love detail. So once I've got a concept of an illustration, I will, an illustration like this will take somewhere in the region of 150 to 200 hours. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, perhaps 2/3 actually. It's being a bit optimistic. And what I have to do is I'm often looking for contrasts, foils. A foil is that one thing sets up another. If this was all very detailed and dark, this would get lost, whereas that is in the background. It feels like it's bright, even though I haven't coloured it yet. It feels like it's got sunlight on it to me. So then, as you're working, what happens is, as the artist, you step back and take a sort of stand up and look at it, or walk around and think about it, and you begin to see the bigger picture, if you like. What is that picture really saying beyond a dragon talking to a boy? So I'll just show you something else while I'm here. So if I do a single subject, here's a single subject. The concept is not complicated. It's one narrative, and that's absolutely fine. A single face, like this. This is Kayafin. She's one of the queens of the elvish people. Single subjects are clearly less complicated. So there's another one here where there isn't much other than the giant going on. I've got something in there to know that he's not a normal, he's not just a man. So he's holding a house, so he must be big. So there's the narrative, even if you didn't know what the story was, you go, oh, he must be a giant. So here, there is definitely a sense that the dragon is big. We may think that the dragon is trying to destroy the buildings, but when I'm telling the story, or people are reading the story, and then they look at the face, they say, well, that's not a dangerous dragon. There's not danger on its face. And as you just wrote, why is it looking smug? This is a kind dragon. My dragons are about the light, about truth, about looking after the world. And so in my stories, they have that kind of essence to them. Whoa, let me go down there. And I first started making dragons back in 1987, my first one that I made. Gosh, I made it in porcelain. So I do a lot of porcelain sculptures. I'll just show you one. I've got one near me. This is a very small porcelain sculpture. See, it's small. Little elvish man moving through leaves. And yeah, so I did that made these from around about 1977 to 1992, and I've gone back to making sculptures as part of this world building project that I've been doing. So I'm now doing a crowdfunding that starts next month to support the next stage, which is to complete the first trilogy and record the stories as well as write them. So there. So anyway, I just thought I would share that today. It's quite a short film. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will turn this into, thank you for liking, I will be turning this into a little film on here, perhaps with a bit of music as well. Yep.